Well, if you're interested in joining us for one of our online listening spaces, then I'd like to briefly introduce the six basic forms of how a listening space works. So the first of these is that we listen in a particular kind of way. Um, we might say that we listen both inwardly and outwardly. So we begin our listening by actually getting grounded and bringing a little bit of our listening attention to how we are, how our body is, how we are in our own feelings, just for a few minutes, so that we can really stay grounded in our listening and not abandon ourselves while we give our listening away to others. This could be a really useful thing to learn for life in general, not just for practicing listening in this type of environment, but listening in a way that stays connected with ourselves. The second thing that we practice doing is that we try to speak from our direct experience. So we don't generally get involved in talking about things that we've read or politics. We could say we speak from the I, what I have noticed, what I have felt, what I have experienced, and keep it direct to ourselves, to our own lives. The third thing is that we listen in a particular kind of way, kind of dropping the normal agendas of listening. So when we're listening in this type of environment, we're not listening knowing that we have to give advice or we have to give feedback or we have to make an assessment. So really we're trying to listen in a deeper kind of way, almost as though we were listening to the whole being of that person, with a sense of, who are you? What is it like to be you? What do I sense beneath the words that you're sharing about how you are? So this allows for a very kind of authentic and sincere kind of a listening. The fourth thing that we practice is not giving advice. So we try to avoid giving advice to maybe an individual who's shared before us. You should do this, you should try that, or giving advice to the whole group. So this is an environment where we don't engage in crosstalk or discussion. So in particular, it's not an advice-giving space. The fifth thing that we adhere to is the principle of confidentiality. So we ensure that what we're hearing within our listening space when we gather together with a small group of people is the privilege of this particular group in this particular hour. So I wouldn't come out of a listening space and talk to my husband, for example, about some of the things that I've heard, or, even if I'm really moved by a story that I've heard, I wouldn't post it on Facebook. Here's a cool story that I heard. This really breaks the trust of the environment in which people are sharing our stories with one another, just to be heard in that environment and to be held in confidentiality in that environment. And the sixth thing is that the listening space is held by a facilitator. So we entrust the facilitator to hold to some degree the time. We have a limited amount of time. And so each person really tries to go to the essence of what it is they want to say, with an awareness that we each have around about typically 5 minutes or so to express our own experience. And sometimes the facilitator can interject just to help us to be aware of time, or might interject to help us to hold the form, so that we're not, for example, getting caught into talking about political ideas or giving advice across the circle. So these are the basic 6 elements of the listening space. And if you're interested in going into them more deeply, we have a longer explainer video. But if this gives you enough information to understand how it works, then please do register to join us. Everyone is welcome.